In this episode, I'll talk about the other species that are non-arthropod. So arthropod is hard-shelled, and all the living organs are in the interior. So obviously this helps in the moon's climate because we've got huge sunlight exposure, 12 hours a day on each side, very low moisture levels, and also the hard-shell arthropods usually have claws and fangs, and this helps attack non-arthropods, which are usually soft creatures, and extract the juices. Sounds lovely. Well, the question is then, how do the non-arthropods survive in that environment? Well, obviously there has to be soil condensation for that to happen. So we have similar life forms as here on Earth. And the close-up pictures of these non-arthropods are coming now. So this one looks like a worm. These are these white worms that I always see sun baking on cliffs, and unfortunately they hang over the edges where our predatory arthropods are there with the huge claws that you saw in the previous episodes, and I think that's the end of our nice white worms. Now these previous pictures are actually all being indexed, so you can actually see from which NASA photo it's come from, but in this series now I'll just go quickly through these photos of non-arthropods because they've all been indexed in the previous episodes, and the numbers of the NASA pictures as well. This is our new friend we found sun baking there on the rock ledge close to the white worms, and right next to the, thankfully not that close, to the very large clawed arthropods that are hiding in the shade on the edge of the rock ledges, and I think they also have their eggs there. Well, this is a new friend because he's got one huge eye in the front. The body tapers towards the back, and you've got these tubercles or process on the back. And I think these are the side arms here. So obviously we have 1/6 of the gravity, so they don't need strongly formed legs, and that's what he looks like. One huge eye in the front. I still can't get over that image. On Earth it's very rare to have just one eye, and I think that's an eye there. It's right in the front. It's huge, and I think it's a soft base underneath, and there you got the side legs, and the tail's hopping up that way. Yeah, I just don't know how he fits in the system. Obviously if he comes too close he could be caught by the arthropods. Now we've got one classic picture in the previous edition. It's a time-lapse photo as a very large arthropod just waits for a huge white worm and then just snares it with one of its claws. And in the 4 or 5 photos you see the worm is fine, then the head jumps up, and then the snare grabs the tail of it. Okay, so we can't find any more pictures of this one, so that's all we have. We'll find the next ones. I'm not quite sure what to say about this one. I think this is an arthropod because these processes here would be hard-shelled. I don't think they would be soft. Okay, I'll have to leave that one for a while. Once I see curves, that obviously indicates the creature is not hard-shelled or an arthropod, and uses the curves also for mobility, so it's actually soft, a soft body. Well, that one there fits the bill. It just seems to be curling up the last hind features, and then the front features are there, and that's the side leg. Oh wow, I didn't see that before. There it is. So what we're seeing there, that's the body. It's like a big sausage you'll find in the supermarket. a liverwurst sausage. That's what it looks like. There it is. It's curved. There's side leg, and then I think that's the component that actually pushes it forward. It's got the curvy back hind body. Well, that's the side arm there. I didn't picture that before, and I think that's the obviously front of the body there. That's very unusual. I'll try to enlarge it. That's all I get. So that I believe is definitely the arm on the side. That's the front body, and then it just curves its tail for propulsion. It's the closest I could get. And mind you, these pictures I've analysed, and they're from a 100-kilometre Apollo Hasselbad camera. So, and I've got great colouring and great shadow. So it was a very hard image to get. They're all very hard to get, mind you. This is one of my favourites, and I hope he survived by not sticking his head over the edge and just being a sticky beak, because underneath he had the huge arthropod of those large claws just waiting. So I hoped 42 years ago when this shot was taken, and he did survive. He's one of my favourites. He is a worm, but he's got the side arms. And there's the head, there's the shadow of the head. So again, this is taken from 100 kilometres. So it's probably a few metres long at least, and the one down the bottom probably has to be 50 metres or more, because I mean these pictures were very, very high distance. We're not looking at objects here that are only a few feet. And there's our friend with, it's a worm with side arms, and he's just sticking his head up. So obviously the side arms do help a lot in movement. That's a nice picture. That's the only picture where I've got one of those side arms. The rest are just white worms, and they seem to lift their head up of their own accord. And let's go to the next pictures. We have a creature here, or it could be a group of eggs. It's very knobbly, and it's very difficult to work out. I think they're a group of eggs, and because the worms are virtually in every of these photographs to a huge extent, I think these possibly could be worm eggs. So very difficult one to work out. There's a structure there, but I haven't got that good resolution, so we'll find the next photo. This is a good picture because it shows a group of these worms sliding over a rock face in the lunar sunlight. So when we analyse this photo, we've seen these worms before. That's one there, and there's one next to it. And their heads are more like cones, actually. So we've got a good picture one there. Just enlarge it as much as I can. Now, I'm reminding you that these are colour photos, and they're taken from 100 kilometres by Hasselbad image cameras, which were given to NASA in the very late 60s, all their photos, and I found these are the best photos to analyse for high resolution, actually using my new technique. Yes, I was very surprised to see that one. Okay, other photos. This is one other good picture, but I'm sorry I haven't got full colour on this, so it's more of a black and white greyish picture. And again, this is where their life cycle usually ends. We've got a nice rounded healthy worm, and he's coming to the edge of the rock ledge, and usually under the rock ledge we've seen these very, very huge arthropods with their claws, and they just seem to sit and wait. Food is provided constantly. So these provide very, very nutritious food for these hard-skinned, hard-shelled arthropods. So there it is. That's taken again from about 100 kilometres up. So they're probably large, 5 metres or more. That's the closest resolution I can get on. I'll try to zoom in a bit more. It's not that easy, obviously, from that height, but on some of these pictures I'm getting very, very good resolution. I'm zooming in probably 6 times, On other pictures it doesn't seem to work that well, so it depends really, but I'll try the best. But that one's good. You can see the shadow on the side. The sunlight was coming from the other direction, and it's on the edge of the rock face. And there it is. Here's one other photo. It's a bit more colour. Resolution, still not that good, but we could have actually something more like a centipede here, because I'm seeing very, very fine legs underneath this tubular structure, so it's very hard to discern. The more I'm looking, the more they're there. It's like a centipede, so it's a worm-like structure. It's not hard shell, so it's not an arthropod. But by just zooming in and out and looking at it at various ways, I see what look like 1, 2, 3. You see the little legs down the bottom. I'm not sure if you're seeing that the way I'm seeing it, so let's quickly zoom in. See little white areas coming down. They look more like legs rather than that actually laying on the rock face and sliding itself across. Let's really zoom in now. Okay, I'm starting to lose resolution here, but actually more of the white area underneath is coming out, so it isn't actually laying on the rock to produce all that shadow under the actual body of the structure, of the creature. So I believe this is the first example where we see actually legs under the actual, wow, that's the first time I've seen that. I believe what we have there are actually legs similar to a centipede. And again, this is coming from 100 kilometres up, so it's quite large, more than 5 metres, I assume. Wow, that's the first time I've analysed it that way. And it could be eggs there on the rock ledge right there. 1, 2 there, because they're kept warm and they usually are guarded. I'm not sure if these are arthropod. I think more they're non-arthropod. They don't show the nodular features. These are actually crawl marks coming down the side of a mountain, and you've got 2 or 3 heads sticking out. 1, 2, well, I'm actually saying 3 are sticking out there. So I've got, that's the highest I can actually zoom in on that. And it shows a living creature going through the very soft soil, and it's then sticking up. 1, 2, 3, I think 3. So I'm not sure if that's, obviously it has to be part of the same creature. And I'll just zoom in on one other photo that shows the trail marks. These are the trail marks there. So these photos were all documented before, from which expedition, which camera setting. Yeah, that's what we're looking at there. They're the crawl marks, and we've just zoomed in on the actual creature, which pops out of the soil. It's got 3 features we're looking at, and I believe that's a non-arthropod.